Indulge me for a moment and close your eyes. Now imagine a bartender. Who do you see? Is it Tom Cruise in Cocktail? Sam behind the bar in Cheers? Or is it Moe from The Simpsons? A quick internet search tells me that it's most likely that it is one of these three white guys, or, in the case of Moe, yellow. It's less likely that it's Isaac, the always friendly black bartender from The Love Boat. In our mind's eye, bartenders are white. And the statistics bear this out. In 2019, in the US, 60% of the population and 86% of bartenders were white, while 13% of the population and only 6.1% of bartenders were black. And the story has been the same throughout history. But though their numbers were small and their obstacles were great, from the 1700s through Prohibition, black bartenders were able to make their mark on history. In their forced servitude, slaves were making drinks for their owners parties, and even drinks for outside events. Some excelled in this role, gaining even international notoriety. Sometimes they made money of their own doing it, and were then allowed to buy their freedom and to buy an establishment of their own. The drinks that these slaves and the free black bartenders that came after them were often famous for were elaborately garnished mint juleps. The mint julep was very popular in the US for a very long time. It was the most popular drink in the 1810s and the 1820s. When establishments owned by black men served the right white clientele, they could achieve as much success as any person of color was allowed to in those days. Reporters would write about them, actors would laud them, politicians would see to it that they were recognized and rewarded for their prowess. But their success did not come without cost. They had to refuse other black people entry into their businesses. They had to be careful to never show that they knew more than the white men. They had to keep a respectful tone, even in the face of abuses. And if they didn't, the consequences could be dire. Black bar owners and barmen were run out of town. They had their businesses destroyed. They were even lynched for offenses that we today would deem to be extremely minor. Even the most successful of these barmen were not exempt from these racist activities. And if a bartender worked for somebody else, then the white bartenders could run them out of their job because they feared for their own. White people in their violence could be largely avoided by opening saloons for black clientele. And surely these black bartenders were as popular in their communities for their drinks and their hospitality as were those that served a white clientele. Probably due to the active suppression of literacy by whites enforcing racism, their stories have been largely lost to history. I think it's time for a drink. Today we'll make a mint julep. In a julep cup, a small mixing tin, or any glass that you have on hand, combine 2 teaspoons of water, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and 5-ish mint leaves. Gently muddle and stir until all of the sugar is dissolved. Then add 1.25 ounces of a high-proof whiskey and fill with crushed ice. Stir until your vessel starts to form ice on the outside. Then add another 1.25 ounces of your whiskey, fill it all the way back up with crushed ice, and stir again until the outside is super, super frosty. Then elaborately garnish it in honor of our historical black bartenders. Let's toast the historic black bartenders for the contributions they were able to make to the craft, even in a world that was largely set on silencing them. Cheers. See below for the recipe. Please remember to drink responsibly. For references and more information, you can check out the related blog post on spiritanimalbeverage.com. If you liked this episode, please tell a friend and let me know. And if you really liked this episode, you can tip a laid-off bartender on Venmo. You can find me under Sarah L.M. Mengoni. 8.46% of any tips I receive will go to benefit Black Lives Matter. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.